Immer bobler und bloßer, schöner Bobble in die Luft. Die flyger så hoch, schier går under himmel. Nå vi mig drømmer, de forblødte i strå. Flygelys for stikkel, ich hab all immer getrunken. Ich bin immer Bobler und bloßer, schöner Bobler in die Luft.
Es war ein schöner Tag im Sommer. Die Sonne war heiß. Mose war im Hof unter dem großen Baum. Dort spielte er mit dem kleinen Ziege. Die Ziege war nicht alt, die Ziege war jung. Sie war ganz weiß. Im Eck vom Hof ist eine Pumpe. Die Pumpe ist alt, aber sie ist noch gut. Das Wasser in die Pumpe ist sehr kalt. In dem Sommer trinken wir oft von dem Wasser.
Not far from Philadelphia, to the north, we find the so-called Pennsylvania Dutch country. The word Dutch, which usually in English means from Holland, was used in reference to the Germans, who in their dialect called themselves Deutsch. The Germans who arrived around 1700 and later were farmers. They settled in this area because they found a fertile land, similar to that which they had left in Germany.
Man kann grob unterscheiden zwischen den Fancy Dutch oder wie wir sagen, den weltlichen Dutch.
We are able to distinguish between the fancy Dutch, who are the worldly Germans, the Lutherans, the Reformed, and so on, and the plain Dutch, who are the simple Germans, the Mennonites, the Amish, the Brethren, etc. The plain Dutch account for only 10% of the Pennsylvania Dutch. The worldly Germans, the fancy Dutch, do not reject the cultural patterns and ideals of the American society. The plain Dutch prefer to live apart from the real world. The worldly Germans have always been in the majority, and they created the patterns of what we know today as the Pennsylvania Dutch culture. Many of the fancy Dutch, those who do not reject modern American culture, live here in the eastern part of the Pennsylvania Dutch country. They haven't kept their strict religious way of life, as have the plain Dutch. People here still speak their German dialect. However, it is dying little by little. Some of them try to keep their language alive artificially by giving lessons.
Cow has a nail in its stomach. Die Kuh hat een nagel im Morgen.
Okay, die Kuh hat einen Nagel im Morgen. Du musst wieder vorlesen.
Die Kuh hat een nagel im Morgen.
Die kom mich an, das der Neistag, Nederdag.
So get die dir paar gute Grat, no meint die Mutter, es war die Katz. Und das und mal und das und mal und allemal bei bij de nacht.
There are even television programs in dialect. But it seems like an exhibition in a museum, rather than a part of their life.
Allemaal bij de nacht.
Leg ich iemand bij zijn stand, sagt Mädel, sagt.
Leg deine Stand zu meine Stand, was sehnt der Vater es das so kann. Und ausmal.
They farm their land using modern technology. They work with tractors and machinery, as they do in other modern countries.
Und ausmal, und allemaal bij de nacht.
It is important that we insist on our way of life as a group, that we are sincere with ourselves. It is the same with our language. It is a means of defining ourselves. The fancy Dutch all have television and radios. They forget their old language, and the next generation will not know anything of it anymore. They will become English.